Part 157. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1576. The man seemed to know what Yanj was thinking, and he continued to add, "Go live, go," and the so-called powerful people, systems, chickens, they all exist to help you seal the gods. Yanji stared at him in amazement. She thought it was just such a plane. She murmured, "The mighty one is the darling of heaven. Tiandeo darling, that is the son of Tiandeo, is no different from Tiandeo. How could Tiandeo beloved be her stepping stones, this man's arrogance, or an illusion in her ears? Yeah, he is the darling of heaven, so every blackening of him is an intolerable existence." Although the man only said such a sentence, Yanj suddenly understood why this plane would become a last-day plane that humans would almost destroy. The words of the man also confirmed her speculation. After the power of the black will become a demon, Tiandeo will remove all of his demon. Faced with destruction in this plane, mutant zombies advance so quickly because are they fed out of those enchanted enemies? With the surprised eyes of the man continued to say, "Ian, you don't have to blame yourself. You have come step by step, not by foreign objects, but by yourself. Those people are destined to be just ants." The words murmured, "But the devil who is eliminated by the heavenly power is the devil." The man said, "Human bodies will purify the magical energy. Those huge magical energy have become innocent energy that can make you seal God. Yan, you are only one step away." The words murmured. The sudden emergence of unknown energy on this plane caused many people to mutate into zombies. Later, the world was chaotic. There were always some highly corrosive rains in the sky. There was no longer any mineral resources in the ground. There was no the existence of any nutrient, and the inability to nurture the life of various animals and plants, are not natural disasters, but because the magic of the Mighty One has come? Yes. The voice of Yanj became more and more dry, so this is not a natural disaster, but Tiandeo thinks this is a natural disaster. When the man saw Yanj's expression on his face, he seemed unable to get rid of the incident, and went on to say, "Every small world will start from the beginning of all things to the end and experience the destruction of all things. After the destruction, all things will reappear. Born, the small world is so endless and endless. Yan, you do nt have to be uncomfortable, even if it's not because of the devil, but for other reasons, and destruction is a new life." He went on to say, "Ian, it's just a small world. After you become a god, everything will restart here if you want. Not only here, countless small worlds will be under your control." Yanj interrupted him, "Who are you exactly?" Her voice suddenly became sharp. "Ian," he whispered, "if you seal God, you will know everything and you will know who I am." His voice was low, dumb and nostalgic, just as if he had never been acquainted with Yanj. Yanj said nothing, she stared at him coldly. The man continued, "You are nostalgic for Guza? He is no different from those zombies, the only difference is that he has different responsibilities. As for the child, you can still carry it back later." He knew she was still nostalgic for all these nothingness. He looked at her and sighed, "Ian, only if you are strong can you get everything you want." After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1577. The man's voice was slow, and the low voice came from the bottom of Yanji's heart. "You now have a chance to be strong and a chance to recapture everything. Why do you hesitate? Ian, these people are nothing but ants. As long as you think in the future, there will be countless people in this plane. They can be replaced. They are endless and endless, but you have only one chance to seal God." Feng Shen. Yanj seemed to be confused by his words, muttering these two words, "Feng Shen, is it really so good?" He looked at the words, and looked at her in such a confused way. The memories of the past faintly floated to his heart. His lips had a smile, and the tenderness in his eyes was even more so. You have thought of your heart for the sake of God. She looked at him, and seemed more curious. Why? He reached out and stroked her head. This time the words did not escape. Let him touch his head. Ian, he said, everything you want to know, you will know when you have God. She looked up slightly and looked at him. What if I don't want to? What if I do and want to? She once said that. Later, they met each other. Even more terrible than life and death is meeting each other. He listened to her familiar but unfamiliar words. For a moment, my heart was dull. Ian, sealing God is the way you are about to go. Everything is to help you seal God. If you do not become a God, you will fall into the devil. He didn't finish talking. A dagger appeared on his chest the next moment. She squeezed the handle of the dagger and hesitated in his heart without hesitation. Facing his surprised eyes, Yanj sneered, Feng Shen is as good as ever, but if Feng Shen must step on my husband, my son, and those I miss, then what is the difference between this and the demon? She pulled out her dagger, letting the hazy white space in front of her slowly recede, and gradually disappeared into the distance like a tide. If you do and become a god, you fall into a demon? I don't believe it. She stared at him, expressionless. Whoever you are, you can't control me. She stared at the person in front of him a little bit, and finally settled into a gray dust. She raised her hand, and the unconscious Gozi and her baby son, wrapped in branches and roots, appeared in front of her. She stared at the two men, one big and one small. Perhaps neither of them counts. Indifference in the eyes was finally replaced by tenderness. Her roots are still growing wildly, spreading in all directions. She couldn't stop, and she didn't plan to stop again. Go Huo, the man once said that he and Gozi I could only live one. Even Gozi thinks so. But the two of them didn't know it. The other one is her and the world. When I left, I was still a little bit reluctant. The man who always helped her cook with the fire in her heart. The stupid baby who would always call her. What would it be like without her? Will they last forever in this world? If she persists, will she miss her? However, even if you don't miss it, you don't seem to complain. Long time, not only want them to be safe, but also they want to be happy. Thinking of her, I won't be happy when I come. She hesitated for a moment, slowly reaching out her hand, the bright green light passing through them like water. After a while, her body completely collapsed into countless whiskers and entered the ground. A non-corrosive heavy rain suddenly fell from the sky and came in this end time. The heavy rain lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. After 3 days and 3 nights, the weather became fine, the sun rose, and green plants grew from the ground. Everything is a new world, a new era. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1578. There used to be a mountain, a temple in the mountain, and a little monk in the temple. The villagers down the mountain remembered that the little monk was already in the temple of Lingyan Temple. 100 miles away is a dense forest of mountains, which has spawned countless monsters. The village under Lingyan Mountain will go to Lingyan Temple for help whenever it encounters any monster. The young monk had red lips and white teeth, and the doe looked like a human. In Chengri, in addition to helping the villagers solve those monsters, they are chanting under the largest tree in Lingyan Temple. Later, the young monk grew up and went down the mountain. The leafy tree, as old as Lingyan Temple, was gone. The big tree that was missed by the villagers has become rigid and looks like a fat doll of 3 or 4 years old. The song of fat arms and legs yawned lazily, grabbing the young monk's neck and calling, "Monk, I'm hungry, I'm hungry." The little monk reluctantly stopped and handed her the jar of water on his back. Drink. Yanj drank water and took a nap with satisfaction. Immediately, his eyes lightened and he slammed, holding the hair of the young monk. Monk, you have hair on your bald head. The little monk reluctantly corrected her, call me Saburo. At the end, he added, I am not a monk. Yan Song, why? She had just changed shape and was naive. Once you wake up, there are some reasons in the day. He was tireless, saying over and over again, it wasn't a monk at first, but you haven't changed shape in that temple for a long time. I just knocked on a wooden fish for so long to help you change shape. Yan Song, why? Because animals and plants are most easily transformed under the light of the Buddha. Oh, Yan Ji still didn't understand, why? Bald didn't respond to her again this time. He raised his hand and touched her messy two buns. Tired, sleep. Yan Song shrank into the back basket, and she really fell asleep. I woke up and wore a beautiful skirt. Bald couldn't do anything about it, but she sewed a pretty skirt for her with needlework. Yan Ji is really new to the world. Fortunately, she is sleepy and sleeps for 10 hours every day, which saves a lot of things. When bald head grows hair and turns into a handsome boy. Yan Ji has also grown into a house girl who likes to read countless painting books and also likes scholars. She had long forgotten that Saburo had been carried in a basket when she was a fat baby. However, I still remember the trivial things that the little bald in the temple watered her and chanted under her tree before she was transformed. She sighed in front of Saburo, my little bald is now afraid that the white-bearded Kang is already in the ground. Saburo said and was about to speak. Listening to the words, he said, the bald little monk Cheng watered me for nothing, and I was almost drowned. Even the transformation was a bit late. I was thinking of seeking revenge on him. He was soaked in the water for a few days and nights, and now he is an old man, and it is not good to be disrespectful to the old man. When Saburo reached the mouth, he swallowed slowly. It turned out that too much water had delayed the transformation. He thought that it was the absence of a Buddha's mask, and he wasted his spit and read the scriptures for many years. At that time, Saburo sang the song in his arms, and the two rode a horse, aimlessly passing the small town fair. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1579. Oh, Yanj was robbed by Saburo. Before talking to the scholar about a shocking love, Saburo took love from Heikuo, turning her into a yellow-faced woman. I stepped into the grave of marriage without experiencing early love, and it was miserable to think about it. But there is no way. In this world where the strong are respected, she is too low for cultivation, and she has to give up her life if she does not dedicate herself. Thinking about her own life, she still has to blossom and bear the ancestors, so she can only wrong her own small body. Suddenly someone screamed in front of me, demon, I finally found you. I ate you today to avenge my brother. Yan Ji shuddered. Immediately turned into a tree standing trembling. This is just out of town, outside the town is a desert beyond sight. Yanj turned into a lush green tree, like a tree-shaped target. Be more conspicuous. Partially, she didn't think it was anything. The old was squatting in the pit on the ground, waiting for Saburo to destroy the fat monster that was full of fat. Saburo sat under her tree and looked up at her lush hair. Yanj is most satisfied with this green hair, which is stared at by Sanlang so affectionately. Yanj's shy heart is shaking. The leaves of the tree moved without the wind and rattled. She doesn't have to look in the mirror, and she also thinks that the picture of her hair floating in the wind must be beautiful. Saburo's fingers stroked the hard trunk of her mighty shore. Yanj was finally touched and he couldn't bear it. He was lying in the arms of Saburo in a soft form. I thought that this is the right time for Shuangziu to be in harmony with others. Partial Saburo has only a beginning, and it ends without a process. Ignoring her full-faced Hungzia, she got up and said, "Let's go, we're on our way." She wanted to get on the road at all, and now even more wanted him to go up the tree. It was just that the bark was too thin, and after all he was ashamed to open his teeth, and with a flushed face, he fell into his arms with a grudge. The taste of Saburo is very good, and he benefited even more from his double cultivation. Although Yanj replied shamefully, for the joy of the idea, he was still twirling and wanted to stir. At one point, it was too strong, and he dismounted himself. The words that planted on the ground turned into a tree again and again. Saburo got helplessly, touching her bark, and touching the leaves of the tree she pulled down. Helplessly said, "What's wrong?" "Yanj, hair is a bit dry and needs sunbathing." Such a small thing, most of the time Saburo will follow her. As she bathed in the sun, Saburo was lying on her body and sleeping. Saburo in white clothes lay on her leafy tree, like a sleeping beauty who needed the princess to wake up. Yanj had to admit that when one person got married one tree at a time, although there was Saburo's forcible grabbing, she also had her liking. Everyone loves beauty, and words are no exception. Looking at the sleeping beauty in her arms, Yanji failed to calm down and continue to bathe in the sun. Her branches touched Sabur's body secretly. Rustling, rustling, speaking shamefully. Seeing that Saburo didn't respond, he seemed to be asleep, and Yanj's courage was a bit bold, and he became a human figure, and rolled with Saburo on the big bed made of leaves. With his eyes closed, Saburo closed her waist and allowed her to toss enough before turning over to start the tree. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1580. Yanj got what he wanted, swallowed Saburo inside and out, and he was physically and mentally happy. In fact, at the beginning of the double cultivation, Yanj was very worried that Saburo's weak small body would be picked by her twice to be an adult. So at first she was holding back her desire very stubbornly. However, after several times I realized that Saburo would not show up because of her tonic, and Yanj just let it go. So, gradually, the days are the same, and in the days, he eats, sleeps, and fights monsters. Oh no, it's eating Saburo's cooking, sleeping Saburo's body, and watching Saburo cut the demon. Saburo is a good man for the sky, either on the way to cut the demon or to cut the demon. Because of this, Saburo's enemies are everywhere, one by one, either demon or demon. Yanji is not tired of such days. As a tree, she actually likes to watch and enjoy watching every time. In her eyes, Saburo is a super invincible being. However, there are exceptions. Saburo, who looks very powerful and indestructible, will be injured one day. The injury was so severe that he would hang up in a breath. Because Yanj turned into a tree, she fortunately avoided the extremely cruel dragon. She sneaked and held Sanlang and ran for hundreds of miles, and then she let people out of her arms. Saburo, Saburo, she was crying a little helplessly, and her tears were streaming. I knew Saburo was going to die here today, and she should have indulged herself last night, so she could take more of Saburo's cultivation. His aura was so pure, he missed such a Saburo, and where did she go to find such a husband? For nothing else, it is for the pure aura in Saburo's body that the words cannot be easily hanged. She wept for a while and realized that no one would help her from the sky. Then he could only sigh, wrap Saburo in his tree leaves, and used his aura to hang Saburo's life first. The journey of a tree is a bit lonely. Yanj wasn't supposed to go around. She prefers to be a tree in a large house, listening to the gossips of people walking around the house every day. The sun basks in the sunrise, the moon basks in the sunset, satiates when it rains, and counts your own hair when you are bored. It is wonderful to think about the future. But Saburo is alive. If she embarks on retirement early, Saburo will probably have to sleep in her tree for a lifetime. It doesn't matter if he sleeps for a lifetime, he has to waste his energy to hang his life. Yanj will definitely not want to spit it out, so he can only take his own heavy steps to find the medicine that will make Saburo wake up. When encountering the chicken, Yan Song was digging a lingwei grass with tears. This is the same root, so it is too urgent. Yanj is most accustomed to those who just pull up everything. What's more, lingwei grass is a kind of spiritual grass, and when others touch it, it will make a baby-like cry, which is especially pitiful. When Yanj heard it crying, she couldn't let go. But Saburo was sucking her aura every day, and if she didn't heal people, she would have to be sucked into a tree trunk. So as she cried, her nose and tears flew horizontally, and she said, "Sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." The chick kicked her on her chest and kicked her directly on the horse. The lingwei grass, which she had dug for a day, was pulled out because she pinched the stems and leaves. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1581. When Yanj is in danger, the subconscious becomes a tree. So when the chickens were full of hair and wanted to teach the sky, they found a tree in front of them. Particularly lush small tree. It stared at the cross eyes, and jumped up the tree with anger, stomping on it. Well, shame on you, there is snow all around, where there is a tree, you disguise yourself as a tree, this is the target. Was it cut off? The words are silent. She was scared and shivered, so even the leaves and branches were shaking. The chicken stepped on and off the branches, and finally found the happiness of using the tree as a nest. It simply bent her branches a few times, and Marie weaved a nest for herself, then nested in and yawned. It said, Laozi went to sleep first, exhausted, and waited for Laozi to wake up. You become human again. Words of song. This bird hair beast not only bullied her and hit her, but now she is still sleeping in her nest. Hey, Saburo, Saburo, there are beasts who bully your lady. Yanj was angry, and cried. The leaves of the tree clamored. But the chicks liked to listen to this voice. It slept asleep in the wailing cries of words. When he woke up, he noticed that the leaves were still rattling. The chicken listened to this voice, and suddenly passionately pembai, it jumped on the branch of the highest song, tilted his head with his tail tilted, and blew his throat high. The throat was so bad that it attracted the evil dragon. The evil dragon long even Saburo lay down, and in the words of the song, the image of the sky is very tall. So I found that the evil dragon appeared in front of her like a tornado. Yanji's trembling leaves were shaking more and more. The chicken is not afraid, stepping on the branch of the word song and confronting the dragon head of the evil dragon. Hey, lying down, where is such an ugly comparison? It really is to refresh the lower limit of Laozi. Bug, hurry away, don't wait for Laozi to beat you. The chicken that hates hairless creatures the most, can't bear to be washed by such an ugly dragon. In this era without dragons, the treatment of evil dragons and dragons is no different. Where to go is not prestige. Now he was scolded by a flat-haired animal. Where can I bear? A chicken and a worm immediately smashed into a ball. As an onlooker, Yanj still hopes to lose both. It is better that both can die and cannot die. It is a pity that the sky does not make a wish. The movement of a chicken and a worm fighting was too big, and the snow mountain that had been silent for many years was collapsed by the two of them. A chicken, a worm, and a tree were all crushed in the snow-capped mountains. In such a crisis, a chicken and a worm do not forget to take a chance to bite each other. The cold teeth trembled and couldn't move, they stared at the dead fish eyes. Trying to turn his eyes into a sword and stab the opponent through his stomach. The words were cold and shivered, and the branches were frozen into ice scum. She was a little panicked at first, but later discovered that the chicken and a worm were still struggling, and she just looked on from the wall. Surprisingly, this snow mountain collapse was not caused by one chicken and one worm. Instead, some people retreat and practice again. Just when they are out of the house, people are pressed at the bottom of the snow mountain because of the retreat. As soon as he exited, it naturally caused the collapse of the snow mountain. This man was a bad practice, failed in the advanced stage, was going crazy, and suddenly found the three goods buried in the snow mountain. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1582. In fact, the evil repair completely ignored one tree and one chicken. He stared sharply at the evil dragon. At the end, I got closer, looking at the bones of the evil dragon, and laughed. There is no way out of the sky. If you refine the bones of the dragon, why worry, my body will collapse. In the era of no dragon, the evil dragon is also a top powerful physical training. Zixia wanted to take the skin of the evil dragon and remake a skin for himself. Although the evil dragon and the cubs suffered both defeats, and were pressed by the snow mountain, they could not even move, but it couldn't sit still and let themselves become the bones of others. It can't be crushed by its strength, and it has simply formed a voluptuous mature woman with a big breast and big ass. The evil repair is also obviously an ordinary man who is lingering in love. He heard his eyes naked, stepped forward with a smile and fed a pink pill into the mouth of the evil dragon. The fingers did not leave, but touched the face of the evil dragon. But you are not respectful. This acacia and a dream is used on your body. Not a violent thing. The two looked at each other affectionately, looking at everything around them. Yan Ji looked blushing and heartbeat. This man is a snake. Is this going to work? This is much easier than her and Saburo. She remembered that Saburo was not happy at all in this regard, or it was after she had done everything possible that Saburo reluctantly bowed for his overlord. There is no harm without contrast. Yan Ji's gaze fell on the two large white tender dough pieces on the chest of the evil dragon. Not only her, but also the eyes of Xieshiu and that flat-haired bird and beast were on the dough. After speaking the words, I knew afterwards that it seemed to understand why Saburo was not so straightforward at all. Alas, why isn't her chest so tight? Seeing is about to burn together. The bird's hair and beast suddenly turned into a human, and used its own most beautiful chicken tail to cut into the position of the rear vest of the evil repair. Xie 11 doubled his eyes. Before it was time to die, evil dragon started to dig out his heart, lifted his feet, and rolled people away from the place. Words of song. The combination of birds and beasts and evil dragons is really perfect. Yanj thought that neither she nor Saburo had such a heart. Of course, the thing that made her jaw the most was the evil dragon and the flat-haired beast that you just beat. This effort was entangled. The flat-haired beast pulled out the beautiful coat of hair on its own tail and became a smooth man. Then, he was suppressed by the evil dragon. Yanj watched a lively battle. This battle is really interesting. Makes Yanj open up countless poses. Oh, I have to say that the flat-haired beast was still screaming don't want it at first, but later it was called I will kill you. Alas, it was him who was being done. The flat-haired beast did not forget to threaten the song when Sarah Hay, would, you better not watch, or I dug your eyes. Yan Song sighed. She really doesn't have this eyeball thing. I'm not afraid of this threat. And she didn't watch it? Their trees rely on God's knowledge to perceive everything around them. The flat-haired bird that was dried by an evil dragon is probably not convinced. So when the evil dragon was out of patience, he turned over and gave the evil dragon a meal. Yan Ji thought his fierce expression was like saying, Lao Tzu who has done Lao Tzu should come back, and spit it out to Lao Tzu. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1583. Beast, it really is beast. Yanj looks interesting, for fear of shocking this annihilated beast, so do not dare to move. The so-called acacia dream pill is particularly terrifying. The flat-haired animal was exhausted and was unable to resolve the effect of the evil dragon. It has been transformed into a human form, carrying a small tree and a dying dragon. He climbed out of the snow mountain with two evil women. When he saw the corpse of Xieshiu, he rummaged through it, and found another acacia and a dream, which destroyed the corpse. Even the corpse's stuff was robbed, and it was still that kind of thing. Yanj renewed the lower limit for this flat-haired beast, weakly reminded, is the medicine gone? Isn't it in his storage space? She also wanted one, and later used it on Saburo. The rolled his eyes, if I can let it go. Yan Song, you want the medicine to be useless, you might as well give. To shut up. Yan Song I swallowed back. Mom, if she can run, she must run back to find the evil body and search for it. Not long after, the evil dragon's medicinal effects broke out, and the flat-haired beasts threw the song into a pit on the side, and turned the dragon into a woman again, and the force of the dragon was suppressed. Animals are not as good. Yan Ji sighed, angrily choking the flat hair for a stern moment. Nima, throwing her in such a pit, her leaves couldn't be found out, her scope of knowledge was limited, and she couldn't see the battle of chickens and worms at all. I can only listen to the sound. It's really too painful to hang up. Yanj gritted his teeth. She also wanted to take advantage of this effort. But I do know what that flat hair did to her. Not only did she become smaller, she could even transform into a human figure. She could only squat in such a pit, counting herself against your background how much of the tree leaves are left after the size has become smaller. When walking down from the Shiwen Snow Mountain, this chicken and a worm are in a state of going all the way. The words are really uncomfortable listening to the corner. I can't wait to shout his own Saburo to the 300th round of the war and show off to the flat hair. It's a pity that Saburo is still in a coma. Not only is he unconscious, but he is still breathing her aura. Alas, it's a sad thing. Later, when he arrived in the mountains, the effect of the evil dragon was finally over. Yanj thinks that the evil dragon's medicine can no longer be effective. The thin flat hair originally thought it would become a black panda. This guy has a severe shortage of energy, and his eyes have recently become darker. His face was even paler, with no trace of blood, and the human figure's body looked weak, but now it seems more and more like the wind blows down. It happened that the evil dragon was not grateful for the sacrifice of flat hair. Once the medicine was over, she returned to her original shape and opened her mouth to swallow the chick. As a result, she failed to swallow the chicks, but swallowed the last acacia and a dream that the chicks scavenged from the evil repairer. As a result, the evil dragon continued to be in a state of medicinal attack and passion, and the flat-haired animal was born. Yan Ji squinted at him getting thinner and weaker, and it was called a skinny. Unbearably said, in fact, you don't need to go to battle to solve her medicine. She is a snake, oh, there is a fish gene. You can find a snake or find a fish to plug under her. This is the first time that Yanj has spoken to a flat-haired beast. Not to say no, she was afraid that the maggot would not get into the horns. This guy wants sex, how can she be human? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 1584. Yanj will be brewed with his own Saburo sauce in the future. He can't do anything against the tree shape. It's impossible to bear. At that time, the chickens were carrying a tree seedling and a smaller dragon, and they were panting. When Yan rolled his eyes, you know how to fart. Yanj, if you can't get tired, open the restraint on me and I can go by myself. Chicken, go. The beast is a beast, and his temper is really bad. Nothing compares to their advanced plans, huh? As soon as Yanj finished humming, she found that she was thrown to the ground by the flat hair. He was really rolling her. He took a few steps to kick her, and when she stopped, he continued. Yanj is intolerable, crying. Mom, her are small enough, and now she's rolled so flat. And her tree leaves. After being turned into a sapling by the sky, she had 3 tree leaves growing pitifully on her head. And now these 3 tree leaves are about to be rolled out. Crying angrily. The chicks couldn't help but cry for the little tree seedlings. The effect of the evil dragon on his shoulders reappeared. He gritted his teeth and untied his belt and used it as a medicine. Females are a bit scary like wolves and tigers. This is a female and he can't stand it? If there are thousands of harems after this, how can he live? The jailed chicken was about to turn the evil dragon into a snake again. The evil dragon dragged his waist and said, "What will change? The gallbladder of your old mother will be spit out this way, and you will not be allowed to carry her anymore." The chicken stared at her spring eyebrows, and said, "Okay." He carried her on his back, pinching the 2 big buttocks of the evil dragon. His back was pressed by the big doe, and there was a woman's sweet smell in his ears, and suddenly he felt that he should have carried it like this. "Lift your feet and start to sing on the ground again." The words were crying louder. That evil dragon could be carried on his back by the sky, but she would be tortured to the ground. The gap between women and women is too big. It's so unbearable. The chicken was impatient to hear, and planted a song in the pit while resting. The evil dragon snuggled in his arms like a bone, and his hands were twiddled on him. He asked softly and softly, "Why not eat this tree demon?" Singing and hearing, snoring instantly. Hemp eggs, would rather roll around than be eaten. Because of the 2 white dough pieces and the soft screams of the evil dragon, the affection for the evil dragon disappeared instantly. The hugged the woman in her arms and helped her with her hair. Oh no, it's her hair. She's an old man. She can't eat it. Don't eat her. An old man, evil dragon raised her eyebrows, because she had no medicinal properties, and her voice was so dumb and soft that she was really nice, old lover. No, the smoothed the evil dragon's hair and then disrupted it, continuing to do so. The evil dragon sneered, "She doesn't seem to know you. Chicken, the powerful monster will be destroyed by Tiandeo. She is more fortunate. Before being destroyed by Tiandeo, she destroys herself first. The body is a tree, the tree is dead, and the roots will sprout again. The only thing that is not so good is the roots of her tree grew in a kind of broken place like Lingayan temple. Every time a new sprout, she was smoked into an elm head by the smelly monk's scriptures. This time, the elm was even more powerful. I don't know if we have to wait until the year of the monkey. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1585. Evil Dragon, Tianyan Shen Mu. She wanted to get closer to the song and was pulled by the chick. "Don't touch her, she's rough, don't puncture your delicate hands." Words of song. Although she heard an ear, she learned that the flat hair would not chop her as a spare firewood, but it was still angering to hear him ask the evil dragon to do so. The evil dragon dragged the cub's neck with his backhand. "I want to eat her, Tianyanshen Mu, and I can live forever without her." What she said was straightforward. In fact, she didn't think there was anything. People still eat plant animals. Not to mention these monsters who have been weak and strong since childhood. Chicken, she's not tasty. Yan Ji nodded again and again, she was really bad. Evil dragon, it doesn't matter whether it's good or not, it's enough to live forever. Chicken, you will have diarrhea after eating her. Yan Ji nodded like a pounding garlic, it would definitely diarrhea, the kind of death. The evil dragon bit his cock's lips, and he repeatedly said, "They still want to eat? It is good. The chicken held the evil dragon and walked in front of Yanj. Without waiting for the song to respond, he picked the only leaf left by Yanj and was fed into the mouth of the evil dragon. Yanj, it turned out to be bald. Ah, there were 3 hairs before, but now 1 hair is gone. Damn, it's going to explode. Forget about meaning, beasts are beasts, what old friend, hey. The evil dragon said, I will eat her all. The chicken cub hugged her and returned to sit on the big rock, and continued to help her with her hair, eat a leaf first, and then eat it all when it is poisonous. Words of song, mad. She has absolutely no such friends, absolutely no. She would not be friends with such a beastly beast. The evil dragon began to diarrhea after eating the leaves of the tree. In fact, diarrhea is really light. The evil dragon not only had diarrhea, but also fart, and the sound of fart was loud. She was so ashamed that she didn't want to get tired of the chicks. Squat in the woods all day. Yanj listened to the sound of her fart, so she sighed with relief. The evil dragon pulled for more than 10 days. Acacia and a dream are not as good as the aftermath of that leaf. The medicinal properties of Acacia a dream were completely obscured by the toxicity of that leaf. It is really a poison attack. Later, although it was no longer pulled, the evil dragon's legs trembled softly and could only be carried on the back by the chicken. The evil dragon gritted his teeth weakly, I'm going to burn that tree. She is my old friend. The evil dragon glared at him, I'm going to burn the tree. Chicken, she is my old friend. The evil dragon stared at him with tears in his eyes, and raised his voice, I will burn her. Chicken helpless, then you burn it? Words of song. She is ashamed of having such a friend. The evil dragon's eyeball turned around, I won't burn her anymore. I will cut her a little bit with a knife and cut her into pieces. Ling Chi died. Chicken, too cruel. The evil dragon bit his ear, his voice soft and soft, that's what I want. Chicken, okay. Yan Ji no longer expected this so-called old friend to defend her at all. Mom, even if you have such a friend, it must be a bad friend. The evil dragon then rejoiced, staringly at the song that was being carried away by the chicken. Yanj is a tree with a broad mind, so it won't stand against such an evil dragon.